when it comes to something like the housing crisis, there's a lot of facets that go really into the housing crisis itself. And we've done many a video over the years talking about the housing crisis, and I've advocated before that we aren't just in a housing crisis, mostly because of, thanks to the Conservatives, we've sleepwalked really into an absolute housing disaster. And now, of course, it's up to Labour to really, take the take the take the bull by the horns and really start to get this under control. It's a really serious problem that we have to face. But of course, one of the ways we can do that is build. But you can't just build. Building is one way out of this crisis, but it is not the be all and end all. There is the renting sector that needs to be seriously taken out and really take to tackle the renting sector, the landlords. We already know that now, because of the win on no fault evictions, a lot of these groups that have been advocating for that for years are now looking at rent controls. That conversation has been started. And that is good. That is good. We are seeing that conversation actively taking place. We are seeing that being discussed, and we are seeing the positive benefits being talked about. Will we probably see it under this term? Maybe, probably not. However, next term, we might very well see it. But always, hey, be pushing for the change you want to see. We have, as I've always said, a government that I think is going to be far more responsive to sort of change and good ideas being pushed. They've shown that before on a couple of things. So I want to talk about this announcement from Angela Rayner, because we've got some other stuff regarding housing, and especially trying to target rogue landlords. I think this is going to be good. We don't know the full details of these plans yet, but it looks like we're probably getting those next week. So we'll probably end up talking about that when those details sort of come out, when those sort of start to emerge. But I can see this being pretty good as well, because you are targeting rogue landlords. I think this should be done. The announcement of a licensing scheme is coming forward as well on this. This is going to be good. Very good indeed. And this is the type of stuff I've always said I want to talk about. When they do good stuff, I would far rather talk about them doing the good stuff than some of the bad stuff. I've said before, not everything the government does is, I'm, completely in favor of. But I'll tell you what, better than we've had. Better than we've had. So let's talk about, of course, what this announced, what Angela Rayner said, and of course, what could be coming further down the pipeline on this. So before we talk about any more of this stuff, please hit the like, the share button down below. There's the Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club down below. And of course, thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel that way. So this, of course, was reported this morning with these new announcements that have been made by Angela Rayner. So there's a ton of money now coming to affordable housing. She's announced an extra 350 million now for affordable housing, and of course, targeting landlords, or in this case, rogue landlords, as they've been sort of described. They're now going to face curbs on how much housing benefit they will receive if their properties are now substandard. This is good. This leads now to potentially further down the road saying, well, okay, if we're going to say, rented properties should be meeting this standard, what other can this, potentially lead to other people and private renters who also may be facing substandard rental accommodation, where now they can turn around and say, we want to make sure that every rented property is and meets this standard. You could even go around to say, letting agents should almost be the de facto enforcers of this. That if they don't think a housing, a rented accommodation meets that, they shouldn't be renting out in the first place. Put more power in the hands of the renters, not the landlords. That is the way to go. And this really seems the direction that we are going to go on this. So the Deputy Prime Minister presented now a funding increase, adding over 500 million already announced at the last budget as part of the government's drive now to build 1.5 million homes. Alongside this extra money for affordable housing, Rayner will, of course, set out plans next week to now crack down on exploitative landlords. Again, we'll see what happens with that and what other gets announced on that, because I would be very interested to see what they do under that. So, under these plans, there will, of course, be new licensing scheme, tougher standards, and the ability to stop housing benefit going to rogue and criminal supported housing landlords. Again, good licensing scheme, tougher standards, ability to stop housing benefit going to, rogue and criminal, housing landlords. Good, good. It's about time. We've talked before about there was a licensing scheme put forward. I think it was in Nottingham, but it was stopped by the Conservatives on the Nottingham Council to stop this sort of licensing scheme going forward. Now you've got one going on a national scale. That's good. That is very, very good on this. So Rayner also said that the 350 million extra now in the funding will come at a time where councils are now facing huge pressures to house people. These, of course, include those in temporary accommodation. She said, for so many families and for the children, the security and safety of their home for their own now remains firmly out of reach. Instead, they have to live now in temporary accommodation, including in B&Bs. This is unacceptable, and this is a result of the housing crisis that we are facing now head on. We are now trying to drive forward on our plans to ensure now a better future for everyone who needs a safe home, building our plans to drive up living standards and build 1.5 million homes. So again, good on this. But of course, will they meet this target? I think it is very true. The Conservatives, of course, put out their own housing targets, but here's the thing: as we said many times, when it came to putting up the moolah or the money for building these new homes, that wasn't exactly very forthcoming. It wasn't exactly very forthcoming when they were sort of putting the money forward for these types of projects. Now you have a government that is doing that is going in that direction. That is good. This is the type of thing we want to see. This is the thing that more people should be talking about, to be honest. So we also have this said when she was asked whether she was worried about this and the target would be met. She's determined now to meet the challenge. We will meet that target because we cannot afford not to. We have 1.3 million people now waiting on housing lists. There isn't a person now listening to the show who will probably not know someone who is desperate to get on the housing ladder. So therefore, we are determined to turn that tide. Again, building one part of the way we can get out of this, because as you see, as Shelter said here, that England needed at least 90,000 social rental homes built a year for the next 10 years to clear the social housing list and to help people who are homeless. So again, you can see a monumental challenge it is in able to sort of do this. But of course, you shouldn't just be tackling, of course, the building as well. Again, that's one aspect, but tackling, of course, landlords and going in that direction, I think pretty much does show a very, very good direction. And like I say, even if it doesn't go as far as people like myself would like them to go, maybe, again, it's a step in that direction because now you've shown you've won one step, you're one step closer, and you can keep pushing. Say, all this stuff we did works really well. Why not just take the next step on that and take the next step on that? And sometimes, hey, baby steps work very well. There is a reason why every single, organization, charity that used to talk about, we need to end, no fault evictions, celebrating that maneuver because it is a good win for them. A very, very good win. What needs to happen now, and what you are seeing, is that talk about rent controls. And you've even seen local Labour councillors talk about bringing in rent controls. It happened in my local area. It's even happened and been discussed at Sheffield City region level. So these conversations are good, and we are going in a better direction than a lot of people think. So There you go. Let me know what you think down below, of course. And of course, don't forget to click on the like and the share button. And of course, we'll see you all next time.